All right, so folks, here we go. Right? Remember, top mistakes, the do's and don'ts of commercial real estate. What is so important, folks, is doing the right things right. Okay. What's equally important, if not more important, is to not do a lot of the common mistakes. Okay. Because think about it. All the time you spend your first year or two doing all the wrong things, imagine if you could get all of that time back and do more of the right things. You think you'd have 2x the amount of result simply for the fact that you didn't do the wrong things and then you spent the time that you would have wasted on the wrong things doing the right things? Type 2x in the chat if you're following me. Does that make sense, folks? Okay. It's not just that you'll get more done. It's you'll get twice as much done because you didn't do the wrong stuff. Okay. So coming in at number 10, we're going to do this David Letterman style. We're going to go in reverse order, okay? Is most people I see, one of the biggest things that they do is they don't dedicate the time to research before picking up the phone, right? Now, let me paint a picture for you, okay? A lot of you don't like research. You don't like research and you don't like cold calling because you research one property, you go down a rabbit hole for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, then you somehow find the phone number, and then you call the person and it's the wrong phone number, and then you research another phone number, and then you call them, and it probably takes about 30 to 45 minutes, and you feel like you have no momentum at all. Guys, type an exclamation point in the chat if that's ever happened to you, okay? The feedback I get from so many agents is that what happens is they research, make a dial. Research, make another dial. Research. And what winds up happening, guys, you're just exhausted. After a few hours of that, guys, you are exhausted, okay? But, okay, let's take a tip from Mr. Henry Ford. What, guys, if you can remember, what was Henry Ford famous for having invented, which sped up production immensely? Can anybody type that in the chat? What was Henry Ford famous? He revolutionized manufacturing. Booyah, Billy. Yes, the assembly line. Okay. What does that mean? Division of labor. Each person does one job over and over and over again. And what do you think when someone does a job over and over and over again in a repetitive fashion? What do you think that allows them to do, folks? Maybe get a little bit better at it? Yeah. Okay. You think maybe they learn the tips and tricks from it? Okay. Maybe they do a little bit more efficiently. Okay. So similarly, guys, if you are research, dial, research, dial, and find yourself just absolutely just frustrated, you're not alone. Take a tip from Henry Ford, okay? And compartmentalize. What I want you to do is I want you to do all your research, get all your research done, and then do all your dialing all at once. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 10 in the chat if you're going to follow item number 10, okay? Because just that one little small a change to the way you're doing things might make a big difference. Because what happens if you started getting good at research? And what happens if then you shifted gears and then you started getting good at dialing people? You think you take more meetings this quarter with me, guys? Today is the first day of the second quarter. Remember that, guys. The year is a quarter done. Throw the first 3 months out the window. They're done, gone, never coming back. All right. So next up, folks. Dun, dun, dun. Learn your contracts and paperwork cold. How many of you have a very good understanding of all the clauses in your local contract paperwork, right? All right. Most people aren't really sure what all the stuff means. And how can we best serve clients unless we understand it? And it's not just your contracts. It's your NDAs. It's a lot of agreements that are like, this disclosure documents. You have to make sure you understand that stuff. The good thing is in commercial, we really don't have that many things we need to learn, okay? But just make sure you understand it, okay? And even though you're not an attorney, you're not supposed to interpret it, but at the very least, you can explain what something means. Does that make sense, folks? Okay, so make sure you learn your contracts and paperwork cold. Number 9. Number 8, qualify your buyers and tenants. Okay, let me paint this picture for you. Someone calls you, or you knock on a door, or you meet somebody and they're like, yeah, can you get me this? Can you get me that? I'm looking for a building, blah, 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 fill in the blank, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And so you go in and you're like, yes, I got a piece of business. You go into LoopNet or you go into CoStar or Crexy, you start looking up stuff, and you spend probably like an hour and you find some properties that are like along the lines of what they said they wanted. Okay. And then you go through, and then you put a tour together for them. You send, or worse yet, you send them off a report that you probably spent an hour and a half or maybe even 2 hours of your time, and then they evaporate. They go into the witness protection program and they won't call you back. They won't text you back. They won't email you back. Guys, type capital M, capital E, if that has ever happened to you guys, okay? Because I'll be the first to admit it's happened to me before many, many times. Okay, Billy's the first honest one. Okay, Zio's is honest. Daryl, okay. Guys, okay, you know what happened? One of two things. Either they were just kind of kicking tires, okay? Or maybe they just weren't that serious, okay? It was basically one and the same thing. Can I tell you the most important thing to do? Oh, there's Joe. Yeah, all the time. Good, Joe, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, buddy, okay? This is what you're not going to do anymore. You are not going to go spend an hour of your time until you go and you see their place. Can anybody tell me why you're going to go and see their place? Okay, so like if you're working on, let's say you're working on a lease for somebody, or you're working on helping a buyer, okay, right? Which in the long run, I recommend you don't make a whole business out of working with buyers, right? The reason why you want to go see their place is very simple, and it's twofold. Number one, you want to see what they're in currently, okay? If someone is in 2,500 square feet and they're telling you they want a 15,000 square foot building, guys, right? Does it make any sense? I don't think so, guys. I think they're like smoking that Snoop Dogg stuff, right? Smoking that Kush, right? The point is they're dreaming, and a lot of people like to feel important, and then you go around and you chase your tail and you waste your time, and guess what? They got nothing, right? So what I want you to do is go see, because here's the thing. Don't forget, guys, we do this all day, every day, which means that we're going to see things that they don't. We're going to notice things. We're going to ask questions that they didn't even think of. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat if that makes sense, okay? What I want you guys to understand is that it's very, very important to know that you need to understand what your client's needs are more than they understand what their needs are. Does that make sense, folks? All right, type a 1 in the chat with me, okay? Cool. Because if you don't know it, and here's more importantly, you got to be able to, if you're going to take hours out of your day, you had better believe that they need to be qualified, or else, here's the thing, folks, okay? They will run you ragged. Remember this, okay? It's a little crude, but whatever, okay? Puppies pee on the rug, okay? You can't get mad at a puppy for peeing on the rug. That's what they do. You can't get mad at a buyer for acting like a buyer. Buyers will always act like buyers. The best you can do to mitigate it is to go there and see what they have, and you see it with your own 2 eyes. Don't let them tell you, oh, yeah, we want this, we want that, we want the other thing. A lot of times it's a wish list and it's not a need list. Does that make sense, folks? Type an exclamation point if you're with me, okay? So the best thing you can do, go see them. You'll see more in a 10 or 15-minute face-to-face meeting than you'll get in an hour of over the phone. Okay? Cool. Next up, guys, know what your time is worth. Okay? Everybody, I want you to do me a favor. Type what your hourly rate is in the chat for me. Okay? Everybody should know this, but if you don't know this, Uncle Chris has got you. Okay? What I want you to do is take whatever you want to earn over the next 12 months and divide by 2,000. The reason being, you want, there's 50 weeks in the year, assuming you take 2 weeks vacation, there's 40 hours in a week. 50 times 40 is 2,000, okay? So you're gonna take, so if you wanna make 200,000 next year and you are gonna work 2,000 hours this year, guess what? That's $100 an hour. Make sense? Okay, so January's at 218, love it. Zio's at 250. Good. Daryl's at 250. Katya's at 75. Zio's at, yes, good. Awesome. Pierre's at 100. Jay Monnier is at 250. Good. You guys are getting the idea, okay? So you got to know why what your time is worth. Why do we want to know what our time is worth, guys? Type it out in the chat. Why is it important that we know what our time is worth? What do you guys think? Come on. Billy, you're full of good answers, bud. What do you got? To not waste it. Yep. How to best allocate our time. Yep. No wasted time. I'll tell you, very simple, guys. Write this down. Warren Buffett does not mop the floors at Berkshire Hathaway. Really? Why not? Because his time is too valuable. Exactly, Missy. Spending time on stuff that matters. Make sense, folks? Okay. Very, very important. Okay. Yes, you got to figure out what your time is worth and then spend the time on the three things that move the needle the most. Does anybody know the three things that move the needle the most? PPF. My private students, you guys got the inside track on this, right? But guys, what is PPF? What are the three things that move the needle the most? Dun, dun, dun. What is it? Prospecting, presenting, and following up. The more you do of those things, the more you are going to be able to move the needle. Boom, exactly. Yes, Daryl. Yes, Missy. Exactly. Okay, guys? So here we go. Next up, create a call list / to-do list the night before. All right? This is very, very simple. Plan your day the day before. Okay? Here's what most of us don't realize. You guys have a supercomputer in between your ears. Most of us don't use it like a supercomputer. You might only just use it as a calculator, but this thing is a supercomputer, all right? What you might not realize, okay, I'm going to prove something to you, okay? Have you guys ever gone out and went looking for something? Like, for instance, the first time I went to go, I wanted to buy a Honda Accord, right? I went and I test drove one at the dealership. And then on the way home, all I saw, like every third car was a Honda, right? You guys type of one in the chat. Has that ever happened to you? Maybe not with a Honda, but with you start paying attention to something and next thing you know, you see it absolutely everywhere. Okay, Ram's with me, Katja's with me. Yes. Guys, that's the reticular activation center of your brain working. And what that is, your brain is a supercomputer and it's really, really good at connecting dots. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it, folks, okay? If you go out and the night before you're going to call people, you create a call list. Guess what happens when you go to bed and your mind starts going over and filtering through all the information that it took in that day? It starts connecting dots for you. You're going to wake up. Has anybody type an exclamation point in the chat? Have any of you ever woken up in the middle of the night with an idea and you're like, where did that thing come from? Yep, Missy's with me, right? You guys ever woken up first thing in the morning when you're kind of like in that twilight in between awake and asleep and you have like these insights, guys? That's your supercomputer working. What we're going to do is we're going to take it a step further and we're going to game it. And the way you game it is by creating a call list the night before. Create your to-do list the night before, because then you get that supercomputer working for you in advance, as opposed to arriving at the office, you're behind the 8-ball, you rolled out of bed, you slammed a coffee and you drove there in a rush, and then you're not prepared and you're not poised, okay? You create that to-do list the night before. Guess what, folks? You have everything that you need to be successful and your brain has already started working while you sleep. Make sense, guys? Okay, that's number 6. So next thing is, guys, do not sign NDAs and CAs, so non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality agreements, without reading the fine print, guys. There are some brokerages out there, I will keep them nameless, okay? But there are brokerages out there that want nothing more than to steal your client's identity and market to them behind your back. Straight up, I've seen it. So what you need to do is make sure you understand what you're signing. Very, very important, guys. Okay. Next up, don't try to buy the business. Guys, if I hear one more time someone gets on a call with me and says, I just want to buy leads, show me where to buy leads, I just want to buy leads, it doesn't exist. Okay. Yes. Does it exist on the residential side? Sure. Why? Because everyone needs a roof over their head, and everybody that's looking to buy or sell a house is out there. And there's a bazillion companies out there where you can buy some sort of lead where someone opted on to some online form. I'm not saying they're good leads, but you can buy leads for residential. Okay. You can buy Zillow leads and people that click on the thing and then it goes right to your text, whatever, I've clicked on stuff and gotten calls back from brokers. Point is, okay, on the commercial side, you cannot buy the business. right? The best way to do it, guys, is reach out and touch somebody. Who remembers those AT&T? I think it's AT&T from back in like the 80s, right? Reach out and touch somebody. That's the best way to do it. But you don't do it by buying some lead list. Doesn't exist. Okay. Next up, learn to let the prospect speak and really listen. Folks, we're not listening to wait so we can have our time to talk. We are listening so we can understand. One of the strongest human emotions is wanting to be understood. So the most important thing, guys, remember, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Okay, listen in that ratio. Because here's the thing, folks. If you ask the right questions, sellers, clients, they'll tell you absolutely everything you need to close them. Okay, they'll tell you everything you need to get the business if you know what to ask and you know how to shut up. Right, guys? You got to make sure you're listening, because when you're talking, you're not listening. Does that make sense, folks? Type an exclamation point if you're going to work on that this week. This is a very easy one in theory to do, but very hard in practice. Make sense, guys? Okay, cool. Cool. All right, next up. Dun, dun, dun. Do not chase huge deals in the beginning, okay? I know it's your first year in commercial brokerage and something came across your desk and it's 10 or 15 or 20 million, okay? Or better yet, or I should say worse yet, your broker's like, yeah, do me a favor. Just go reach out to these people over and over again and then just get the foot in the door and then I'll you'll throw me the ball and do it. Guys, and I'll take it down. Guys, it's a bunch of bullshit, okay? Straight up. I'm not going to lie to you. They do that to young brokers all the time. It's mean. It's mean-spirited, right? And you know why? Because you're going to go in there. You're going to get your hopes up. You're going to do the math. You're like, oh my God, $12 million at a 3% fee. I would put $360,000 in my pocket. That's more than I made in the last 4 years. Guys, we've all done that math, okay? All right? It's like a dog chasing a school bus. Even if it caught the school bus, it wouldn't know how to drive it. You know, my dog's really smart, but she doesn't know how to drive a school bus. You with me, folks? All right. So the point I want you to understand is don't chase huge deals in the beginning. Okay. But guess what, guys? Who here wants to know the fastest way to close $20 million deals? Okay. Type a 20 in the chat if you guys want to know. Only when I get 20 20s will I give you the secret. This is 22 years of experience, by the way, guys. Okay. My first year in commercial was 2003. All right. What do we got here? All right. That's good. All right, guys, ready for this? It's so simple. It's so simplistic, but so poignant. Okay. Close 20 $1 million deals. Okay. It's not the deal itself. It's what you learn along the way. Just like, have you ever heard that saying, guys? It's not about like when you're earning your first million. Okay. It's not about the $1 million. It's about the lessons that you learned and the person you became along the way to your first million. Does that make sense for everybody? That's a light bulb moment. Type an exclamation point in the chat for me, okay? It's not about the $20 million deal. It's about all the lessons you learn. I would much rather have you close 20 $1 million deals, 40 $500,000 deals. You guys are going to learn so much more in that process that you'll just naturally be able to take down a $20 million deal. Okay. iPhone's with me. Gotcha's with me. Love it. Good. And finally, guys, last, but certainly not least. Okay. Get a mentor. Okay. Anybody here? Type a 1 in the chat if you like NASCAR or you like any sort of like motorsports racing. Okay. It's very, what I'm about to tell you about, it's very common in NASCAR. Okay. What it comes down to, guys, there's this thing in car racing. It's called drafting, right? What it means, now, mind you, these cars are going around a track. Okay. So they're going in some cases up to 200 plus miles an hour. And they're like 1.5 feet, 2 feet apart. The reason they do that is not because it's safe, okay? It's because the wind coming off the car literally creates a suction behind it, right? So 2 cars are driving around 180, 190 miles an hour. And guess what? The car behind it can not only spend less gas, okay, but it's going to get where it's going faster because it's what's called drafting behind the other car. What does this have to do with commercial real estate? I'm about to tell you, all right? When you get behind someone that's already been down that path, It is so much easier. You guys ever been out in a boat by yourself in the middle of the water and it's bouncing up and down, bouncing up and down? What happens when you get behind a really big boat, right? It smooths everything out, okay? The point is, when you have following someone that has already been there, you can get to where you're going faster. Guys, do you see that little slogan up in the top right of your screen? What does that say? Getting you where you're going faster. Okay, the whole point of following someone who has already done it is they've already taken the lumps. They've already stepped in the potholes. They've already stepped on all the landmines, okay? So that you don't have to, okay? They've already made all the mistakes so that you don't have to, okay? Does that make sense, folks? You don't have to make the same mistakes as me. I've already gotten beaten up and abused, right? Enough for everybody on this call. What I want to impress upon you guys is the fastest way to get to where you're going, okay? Right? Okay, perfect example. I'll give you another analogy. I'm a man of many analogies, okay? The fastest way to get from New York to LA, okay, isn't by driving blindly on a bunch of side roads, not sure if you're going to get there, okay? Can anybody tell me, type in the chat, what's the fastest way to get there? I mean on the ground, not by a commercial flight, right? What's the fastest way to get there? Boom, exactly. Use a map, use a GPS. Map is good, GPS is even better, because GPS will tell you not only when you're going to get there, but what roads to avoid because there's bad traffic, right? And more or less the amount of time and the speed that you need to follow. With me, guys? Okay. So the fastest way to get where you're going is to follow someone that's already done it. Okay. There's no medal for bravery in commercial brokerage. There's no medal for how many mistakes you can make and still survive. You know what? You know, the only thing that matters is the score, how much you made this year. At the end of the day, that's all that matters for you and your family. Period. End of story. Your 401k, there's no like column for like comments. Your bank account, there's no column for comments. All that matters is the one number that's there. Does that make sense, guys? Type a one in the chat, right? Do me a favor. I want you to put in the chat also, what is the number one thing? I gave you 10 ideas to go on. Okay. I gave you 10 things that you could be doing. What is the one thing that you're going to change this week so that by this time next week, you'll have already implemented something in your business? Go ahead and type that in the chat, folks. What is the one thing that you're going to do different this week so that we can get something, so you're going to get a result next week? Tell me what that is. Type that in the chat for me. All right, guys? Remember, very, very important to understand. Okay, Jay says plan the day before. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, perfect. All right, who else? Who else? Is Jay the only one that's going to make an improvement to his business this week? Come on. What else we got, guys? All right. Oopsie. All right, cool. Folks, I cannot impress upon you enough. Remember the 91-9 rule, folks, okay? Take 9% information, 91% implementation. What I want you guys to understand is, okay, make sure you go out and you change something this year. I don't care if it's just one of the rules, one of the things that we just went over of the 10 mistakes that people avoid, okay? Make sure that you are going out and you are doing it on a regular basis. Start tomorrow, okay? I give you 10 ideas. But just start with one. You don't have to make it overly complex, okay? Whether it's pre-qualifying people before you put them in your car, whether it's finding a mentor, whether it's going out and separating your research from your dialing, whatever that is for you, it's very, very important that you guys go and implement ASAP, okay? Good to see you all. Thanks for being here. See you guys. Take care. Have a good night.